We're rolling.
Welcome back to episode 52 of the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast, everyone. We're sponsored by Fightback CBD. Get 20% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com with code JJD. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a purple belt out of Fight Sports Coral Springs. You can check me out on Instagram at Uncle Milty BJJ. We got Bo behind the camera.
Woo!
Joining us today, Jim Alers, Alers Martial Arts in Pembroke Pines, Florida. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Let's talk about this thing. So you showed up. I'm like, oh, it's WWE interview here
man.
with like he's bringing his weapon in, his big hammer. Like, what's going on?
Man, this definitely a crazy thing that happened to me. I had a ganglion cyst on my wrist, and I didn't have insurance for the longest time, so I had to figure out my own way how to take this off a couple of times. So the first time I Googled a situation of how to take it off was using a Bible to smash it. I did it and ended up working, hurt like hell, but it eventually came back.
So is it like very much below the skin? Is it like on the top?
I guess, yeah. It's like, it's like
I've heard
in
the term,
skin.
but I've never seen one. I don't know what it is.
I don't know how to explain. Almost like a little marble in my skin.
Okay.
And so it came back, got bigger. And so
So tell me the Bible. So you looked up something?
Yeah. So we looked on YouTube. We saw people doing it. We're like, all right, it must work, Yeah. So we tried it.
It's on the internet. It must be true, right?
So we tried it, smashed it out. It worked, man. It worked for a while. It came back though, and it kept getting a little bit bigger. So it started to go into my hand a little bit, and I use my hands for everything. So I kind of was getting worried. What if this thing gets too big?
Yeah.
Again, didn't have insurance. I have a student who's a physician assistant, and he's like, "Man, I can take care of that for you." And I'm like, "All right, let's do it." So we're on his kitchen table, and he's just like pretty much doing a little operation onto my hand, and I'm watching him like in amazement, like, "Whoa, this is crazy! This guy's in my hand." And he's like, "Hey, Jim, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Why? What do you mean?" And apparently I'm sweating, and I look like I'm about to faint. And I'm like, "Actually, I'm not." Gives me some Gatorade. We're good. He ends up not being able to take it out, but cuts it. It goes away for a while. We're good.
How deep is he in your hand? You say like he opened it out. Like how?
Yeah. So like
deep
you can
see.
You're like seeing like little I don't even know, like little things in your hand that you shouldn't see, definitely. And so, but we healed it up. It was good. Everything was okay. Came back bigger. And I was like, you know what? My wife's like, you're getting insurance.
Honey, grab the Bible. Grab the Bible. Get over here.
And as soon as we got insurance, we're like, all right, we're gonna get this fixed. So now I didn't think it was gonna be something so crazy. Like I said, I got rid of it 2 other ways, super easy. So I go in, they put me under. I'm in complete surgery for this thing. I see like 10 doctors and nurses around me. I'm like, what is happening? I wake up and I'm in this giant thing here, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna suck for a while.
Yeah.
So this is where I am now. This just happened Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh wow. Jesus.
Yep.
It looked. Yeah. When I saw you at the door, I was like, what's going on here? But I'm glad to see you're okay, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Good. I actually know somebody. I don't want to drop names or the business, but been talking to somebody who's working on like a group insurance for martial artists in the jiu-jitsu world. That
would be awesome. That's always been a big thing, going through fight camps and everything, and just, not being able to really afford it. As you're coming up and everything, insurance is a hard thing. That's why people get these like government jobs and everything because of the benefits. We don't have that.
Yeah. Amazon, UPS, right? Like get that part-time job, get full benefits.
Yep.
Hey, one little thing here too. Since we spoke last, I saw this in an interview. I didn't know, so I'm sorry I didn't get to say something before. You lost your dad due to COVID.
Yeah, man. So
I'm really sorry to hear that. My condolences.
Thank you, man. It was in March. It happened so fast. I think
we spoke right before the new year, like December. I think.
Right.
We aired around December.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything online about it.
No, yeah. One thing is that I've just been, especially since that happened, I've just been trying to kind of stay off.
Yeah.
Social media. I feel that, you know, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. I was doing other things, and, you know, and I realized I the other day I check, I'm like, how much time do I spend on social media or doing this or doing that on my phone? And I'm like, you know, there's so many other things that I could be doing. I could have got to know my dad, you know, a lot more before those things happen. You know, even if it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, that I'm wasting on scrolling through my screen, that I could be talking to my pops, you know. And my mom and my father both got it. And my mom had some long haulers, you know, had to be on oxygen for a minute. Yeah. And but my dad, he had stage 4 prostate cancer. And so he was hurting a lot, you know. And in a way, you know, I'm kind of happy he's not hurting. You know, I had an efficiency in my house for them, and I would hear him at night sometimes just in pain.
Sorry,
and you know, but it was crazy how fast it all happened.
Yeah.
And, but we're still like, you know, soaking that in. I had a Jeep that I had just bought, and I totaled it. So that's the whole story too. We'll get to that probably, but
note to self here.
And I didn't have a car for a while, so now my dad's car was just been sitting there, and so you know, I'm driving it around, and it's like crazy emotional every time
I have a buddy,
I get into it.
I have a buddy who lost his dad and drove his dad's car around for years. He couldn't get rid of it.
It'll be hard.
It was like, it was breaking down.
You know, we got the insurance to get a new car and everything, and I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna ride this one out a little bit.
You know, I saw something the other day. I just bought a house, and one of the things I wanted was at least a little bit of a lake in the backyard. My dad loves to fish, and we had a hard time finding a house. And we found. I basically had to do pre-construction, but we found it. And I've been telling my wife, I'm like, this is taking so long. Like, I just want to fish in the backyard with my dad.
Right.
You know, I just want to be out there. I don't spend enough time with him, so that's a little bit of a reminder for me now to make that happen.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter's coming. I don't see my daughter. I see my daughter like once in the last 2 years. Same thing. On the, you know, COVID on me. I used to see her 2 or 3 times a year when she was a little kid. You know, me and her mom weren't together, and you know, she sent me a text the other day. She said, it's been too long. And I told my wife, she's coming down next trip. We're going up to Virginia. Like, I can't do this. This is seeing my daughter. I saw something online that kind of said, to beat a dead horse here, but, you know, like, if I only think about how long I have to live, and if I only see my daughter once a year,
it's
like once a year, that's not how I want to have a relationship with my daughter. And I hope that she doesn't want to have that same with me. So, like, making that conscious effort with my daughter and then with my own dad.
Yeah, I think, another thing that I started doing because of that, just feeling that I didn't have enough time with my dad, is now my wife and I try to make an effort in giving. We have 2 children, a boy and a girl, and giving each one their own day. So like me with my son one day, just us going out, her and my daughter switching one day, me and my daughter, because it's so easy to group them, and you know. And I'm like, I want these memories. I hope that they can think back and just think of the little time, whatever it is that we got to do together.
My best memories with my dad to that point are not the trips. It's those little times that we spent together. Like, I always talk about watching boxing with him back when it was Wide World of Sports, like on Saturdays and Sundays, like Vegas. I talk about that all the time. That's like I talk about, 'cause it's one of my best memories of just me and my dad hanging out, and that's where my love of like boxing and martial arts and then the UFC came from. So like, it's those little points. One of the most incredible times I ever had with my daughter was driving up. She flew in, and we drove up to the Nickelodeon Hotel. My wife, now my girlfriend at the time, went up with her daughter, and we met. We were supposed to all drive together, but like there was a delay. They went up, and I drove up with my daughter, and 3-hour drive.
Right.
That is the best time that I've ever had with my daughter. You know what we wound up doing? We wound up talking about a lot of stuff. And it was like my first car that had like the integration with the phone, like the Bluetooth. So we were going back and forth, playing each other's music and talking about what we loved. And like, I'm like, wait, hold on, let me listen to this one.
Yeah, man.
And then she'd be like, I know that song, and she'd be singing it. Like, that was the best 3 hours that I can ever remember having with my daughter. And I hope that she feels this. I hope like she'll remember that. I remember that. I think that she would remember that too. So those little moments.
I think that's just made me, just value my time more than anything else in the world. Is just like, hey, this is moments that I could be with my kids, and just hopefully just making those lifelong memories and stuff that we can have. Just talking to them, getting to know them. that, and those are things, like I said, I wish I got to know my dad more. So hopefully that.
What did you grow up with your dad in the house?
Yeah. So we grew up, but I grew. He went through a lot. He went through a lot to come through Florida. Lived a very, very hard life. And he left it all in New York, and we moved down to Florida, where he had to live a totally different life. He was like a gangster. He was living the way of the streets. But he moved down here to change his life, and then he was a maintenance man for as long as I can remember. And it's hard. Going from, I'm sure they were making a lot of money. Doing whatever it is that they were doing. He never wanted to share that part of his life with me. And I understand. But I'm sure it was hard for him to be here every day. And, you don't appreciate those things. As a kid, you don't really understand, and of course he dealt with depression and stuff in his own ways through, drinking and drugs. And so I kind of resented him a lot for that. And it's like hard, Yeah.
It's okay, man.
But it was hard to forgive him, and just till the later part of his life, I finally got to get to know him a little bit more. So I thought that was at least cool part of there, especially COVID keeping everybody home. So
so you did get to spend some time.
No, yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what the next thing I want to talk about isn't going to be a pleasant subject. We talked about it a little bit before. Right now there's a lot of drama going on in the jiu-jitsu community. I want to first say, this is the first time I've ever had to deal with a situation like this as it relates to my jiu-jitsu journey and my gym. And we may not say everything correctly. We're not a news show. We're a podcast. We love talking about jiu-jitsu. But there have been, several allegations not allegations. I mean, there have been several. Let's start by calling them allegations against fight sports coaches in other areas. We're in South Florida. These things happened in, I believe, Naples and Texas. And there have been other. I only know what I know online, what I'm seeing on social media. Those allegations, some of them have been, if not all of them, again, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but some of them have been either the men have admitted to it or have fled the country. It's kind of an admission of guilt, or both. And I felt like we needed to talk about it. I train in fight sports in Coral Springs. My coaches are incredible. I've never trained in Miami. I think I went to one seminar in Miami when they did an event to raise money for Maria when we lost a couple of gyms, I think, in the Keys and one in Puerto Rico. And so felt like we needed to address it. There's a lot going on. So number one, my heart goes out to the victims. I couldn't imagine what they and their families are going through. You go through it once when it happens, then you go through it another time if you choose to take it public. So they, and I'm sure even more than that. And then the attacks online and who's telling the truth. I do have to say, this is my own personal opinion. I'm not going to speak for you. And I'm going to say what they have said themselves. And when I say they, a Master Cyborg, they didn't handle this correctly. Apparently one of one of the accused, who again admitted guilt, who was, I think, going through his court case, were at the Fight Sports Miami and at VRMA, Wagner's gym. They said he wasn't. Pictures came out. They had to kind of revise their statements and backtrack. And I think that they could have handled that a lot better. As a student of theirs through my gym, I just feel like, accepting responsibility for what happens within your system is a must. That should have gone without saying. This man should have never been in any fights. He should have never been in any gym, not just a fight sports gym. But I think that there were multiple mistakes made after. Again, first and foremost, the victims. We've got to keep them in our prayers. Hope that they can, go beyond this, and hopefully they can move forward. Hopefully, continuing their jiu-jitsu journeys and their life journey. They're just their life. Correct. Yeah. Again, I don't know if I'm saying everything politically correctly, but that's how I feel. Again, I feel like mistakes have been made. But go ahead. I mean, do you
No,
want
yeah,
to say
man.
anything about it?
It was really surprising to hear. Like I said, like, wake up Wednesday from getting this surgery and everything, and just kind of hearing about it today. And I know a little bit more. You were telling me more about it, but yeah. From what I read in the quick little statements that I saw, I definitely thought maybe things could have been handled a little bit differently on how they approached it. I think 100% it should be about the victims, if anything. And I think it's like something that martial arts in general, needs to really put a handle on in all aspects, in every martial art.
So now, so I agree with everything that you just said. And again, we talked about this a little bit before. It's easy. I'm not defending anyone.
Right.
Anyone. But I've been on this show. Anybody can go back and look through any of the podcasts, probably at least every other podcast. I'm talking about how much I love my gym because of the male-female presence. How when somebody asks me, where should I train jiu-jitsu? I'm talking about my gym. Hey, if you're near us, this is why you should go here. The husband-wife team, we have a bunch of female coaches. It's what I believe everybody should have, and why I believe my gym is so awesome. They have an incredible kids program because when a parent walks in for the first time, they see, and I don't know anything about the other gyms where these things happen. I don't know the female presence. I'm not saying that. I'm saying why I love where I am and where I train, and why I recommend it to parents, and why we have such a huge kids program. So it's because of that female presence. I think that's one of the most important things when you're talking about dropping your child off. And in some cases, the parents leave. They drop them off. They're there. They pick them up in an hour. Maybe, when they're 4, 5, 6, maybe under 10, you usually wait around. But sometimes the parents are like, I'm comfortable with leaving here. Let me go. I've got to know. I'm a father. I have a 27-year-old daughter and I have a 17-year-old daughter. They've never trained. But if I had another child, that's what I would be looking for, Again, I place no blame on the gyms for, I don't know, excuse me, I shouldn't say on the gyms, but I don't know if they have a female presence.
Right.
But I'm saying I've talked about it for those reasons. We've said that a million times of why it's important, why that female presence is important.
That's really the atmosphere that I try to do at my gym. It's Alers Martial Arts because I want this to be my family. My wife started jiu-jitsu when we opened up the gym, and she's there, on the mats every day. And I think that's the family vibe is what we want to give, and when people start to trust you, then you need to keep that trust, not use a position of power for your own selfish needs, really. Yeah.
So the last thing I want to say about it is I have just followed it for the last couple of days. I've heard rumblings about it before, but never to the degree that I'm hearing about it now. I think we all bear responsibility for what we view and consume online. I'm on Instagram. This is where I'm seeing all this stuff, and they've chosen to put out statements in places where it's being reposted on Instagram, and I'll take everything at face value. Again, I'm not defending anybody. What I will say is this is still relatively new for me. I'm still digesting it. For people that are calling for heads on platters and kick this person out of this and the entire affiliation, kick fight sports out of everything, there are people that are calling for don't have anybody with a fight sports logo in anything ever. I don't know these people. They're not my friends. I don't go to dinner at anybody's house, and I don't know these accusers. I just know that I love jiu-jitsu and that my school's awesome, that I'm comfortable there, and I'm comfortable enough to recommend it to other people. So again, with 48 hours in, I can't be come out and say I'm doing this or I'm not doing that, or I'll never go here, or I'll never go there.
To digest,
sure. You gotta let us as students, digest this ourselves and know. Yes, we unequivocally denounce what happened. Let's say, I say that as a member of a fight sports location, but I can't just all of a sudden say, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Everybody's going on, I'm never going to be here again. I'm just not ready to say that. And if that's not politically correct, okay, I'm sorry. But I have to have my own little journey with this. I haven't been able to talk to my coach and get his feelings on it because he's just been away. Right. And again, I've trained twice since I started hearing about this, and I just haven't seen him. So, I don't know what his feelings are and what he's going to come out and say. It's
going to be interesting to see just everyone's approach.
So
more about it.
This is not, I don't care who you are and what you say, this is not a fight sports problem. This is a martial arts problem. We've had Rob from McDojo on the show. I haven't spoken to him recently. I am sure we're going to be seeing some coverage of this if he's not already. And he's been outing people about this for years, and not just going after a gym or an affiliation, but going after individuals and really outing these people, pedophiles, fake black belts, child molesters. I mean, rapists. He has really done an incredible job of bringing this to light. And if anybody knows anything about martial arts, this is not unique to one place. I kind of hesitate to make the statement. I don't know how this is going to sound when I say it, but, some of these people that are standing on soapboxes saying stuff have been accused of certain things. And what happens when it happens in your gym? Does that mean that you're talking about fight sports is worldwide? You tell every fight, there's like one in the Bahamas. I think there's like one in the Ukraine.
Wow, they're around the world, man. Those
guys are never allowed to go to fight in an organization. Are we ready to go there? I don't have that answer.
Right.
My heart tells me that those guys are not responsible for what they did. If they choose to not be affiliated with fight sports, I would completely support them. I don't know if that's where we are, but there are people, that are, again, standing on soapboxes saying that. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. But again, look, going back to, it's not a fight sports problem. This is a martial arts problem.
Correct. Man.
This is a societal problem, but more specifically, this is a martial arts problem. This isn't unique to just this one affiliation.
No, man, not at all. It's happening all over. Like if you go on the news, I was talking to you earlier about that, how, there was a Taekwondo school.
Yeah, you mentioned
that I think the coach had cameras inside of picture frames in the bathroom, and
I saw that. I saw the post. I think I saw a post from McDojo, and like they usually say, like for full coverage, like
right.
Go to YouTube. I had no idea that was in Florida. I just saw the surface of it. I didn't know where it was.
Yeah, so it was a school in Pembroke Pines, and so of course my school being in Pembroke Pines, I'm looking into this, like where is this school? Who is this guy? Blah, blah, blah. And as I'm looking at this guy's Instagram, I see a picture of a student who signed up at my school. And I was like, no, man, this is crazy. I saw him teaching a class. So I had to deal with it, right away.
So he joined your school.
Correct.
He came to your school. He joined
my school. He was a coach over there, apparently.
Okay.
And I saw he was there as little as 8 weeks ago. I don't know what happened. I don't know who did it, blah, blah, blah. But I do know that there was cameras in the bathroom, videoing kids as far back as March or something like that. Mm-hmm. Kids, women, whoever. And, I was just like, man, I don't know who is responsible for it, but I saw that you were there. And so I called him and I was like, hey, man, this is not going to work out for us. I just can't have you at my gym right now. He was a little bit seemed confused at first, but I just kind of explained it to him, like, I don't know what's happening over there, and I just can't have someone who's in that kind of situation at my school. I have kids, I have everything that happens. So until things are figured out, it's just we have to cut ties. I'm making an obvious statement, but so many of us do jiu-jitsu because for the stress release. Some people are doing it as a career, and you own a gym, and I'm sure you get that release of that stress and that, what weighs on you during the day. But the last thing that I want to happen is the place where I'm going to get away, my happy place, becomes my not so happy place. So, I hope that this can be resolved. I'll take Master Cyborg and his statement of what he's going to do. I'm not sure if you saw it, where they're going to have a committee where people can an 800 number, like a hotline, where if somebody needs to make an accusation or has been assaulted or there's a problem, they can report it.
And there'll be, I think it's like lawyers, psychiatrists, like they're going to have this essentially a committee that are going to look into these allegations. Now I don't know who that group is. If it's an outside organization, if these are people from fight sports who are also in law enforcement as a career, or a psychologist is their day job. I don't know.
This was his response.
This was his second response, because I think the first response of, again, I didn't read it all, but of them, of Master Cyborg and Wagner saying like that he wasn't around this one particular person, the Marcel, I don't even know his last, Goncalves, I think, Marcelo Goncalves, that he wasn't at their gyms, and then pictures surfaced where he was at their gyms after.
So this was
after post 2018, after being arrested and admitting guilt. I mean, I believe that he confessed to the police when he was arrested. So saying that he wasn't around and then picture surface. Okay, that's a big mistake. Second statement comes out, and I would kind of want to say maybe at least from Master Cyborg accepting responsibility for having him there, stating that he's going to do better and what he's going to do to do better. And he's also reached out, again, according to his post, to each victim. I do know that, there are other allegations that seem to be coming out. I believe it's between 3 and possibly 4 victims at this point. I think there's still one that hasn't come out. I may be wrong. It's either 2 or 3 or 4. I know of 2, but another one kind of came out in the comment section. Anyway, so what's to come, I don't know. At least for us, I felt like I wanted to talk about it. I told you this.
Man, yeah.
I felt like I needed to talk about it. My intro, when I introduce myself, I proudly say I'm from Fight Sports Coral Springs, and I'm still proud to say that. I'm disappointed in the way this was handled. I'm disappointed in a lot of the statements that have been made, but I'm also not ready to jump on the bandwagon of everybody that wears a Fight Sports logo. We want their heads on platters.
A lot of people.
Again, look, I'm not even going to get into the stupid comments because, this could be some fat guy behind a computer keyboard, talking smack, and it could really mean nothing. But, people are saying some really stupid things, and, hey, in some cases, hey, listen, you need to get out your anger. Go ahead, do it. But I'm not ready to go that far and say I am never going to be affiliated with my school. Maybe some people will hate me for saying this, but I don't care about the name on the front door. I care about my relationship with my coach.
Right.
I always talk about, like, I'm older than my coach, but he's my mentor. I look at him like almost like a father figure. We talk about marketing, we talk about life, we talk about stupid stuff, we make fun of each other. I look at, he is, on a little bit of a pedestal for me. This is the guy that's, put a few belts.
Of course,
he put my purple belt on me. I came to him as a blue belt. He put my stripes on my blue before I became a purple.
Like
he put my purple, and
that father figure in a way.
Yeah, I'm not going to walk away from him because of something that happened over here. Now, I haven't spoken to him. I don't know if what he thinks or what he's going to do or say. I just know that that's where I go train, and that's where I was today, and that's where I'll probably be tomorrow.
Those who know me know that I got my black belt from Wagner, and like I said, me going through this surgery and just kind of hearing about all this, I haven't even had a chance to like just call him and just see what's up, what's happening. So, I definitely want to talk to him, and just see what is this all about, really.
All right, so I think we're going to leave it there. I think we're good. I wanted to have you on. We had you on again back in December, and we did it by Zoom because you're local, but we did it on Zoom because of COVID. And this has always been more fun to me, in face-to-face, round tables, just, shooting the shit about jiu-jitsu.
This is a cool setup you have.
Thank you, man.
I don't know how many podcasts I've done in my life, but haven't been to one this
Have you gone to any studio? Like, have you ever gone out?
Like, if I gone, it's very low budget. This is good stuff.
I spent a lot of money. No, we. Look, this was a long time coming. Hats off to Bo. Everything that you see here, Bo has put on an Amazon list for me at some point. I mean, he set up the wall. He did this, and but. He put this together for us. He's everything's been Bo.
Good job, Bo.
Bo is the technical side. I'm just the mouthpiece in front of the mic. Trying to get him on the mat because he needs to. He doesn't train.
Oh man,
he doesn't train. I need to get him on the mat. I think I don't know that. I don't think he realizes how much it's going to change his life.
It's crazy, man. Just that I was just saying to somebody, I'm like, man, like I need to get back on the mats right now.
Yeah.
It becomes an obsession where you're thinking about it. Without it, you start getting like depressed a little bit. You're like, man, I need to go do jiu-jitsu. I need to train. For me, it's just training in general, where it's like, I fell in love with so many other aspects of martial arts, where it's kickboxing and wrestling, like everything in that. I'm a
different person when I don't train.
Yeah, you can tell.
I'm cranky. I'm more cranky.
You need a Kit Kat. You need a Kit Kat bar.
I don't sound like I don't want to sound like a broken record for people that watch the show, but I said this last episode. I tell my wife, if you're mad at me and you want to argue with me, get me after I come home from jiu-jitsu, because I'm going to apologize. I'm going to agree. You're going to be right. And we're going to get through this a lot more quickly. If you come home and you're angry at me and I just had an 8-hour day and I haven't got my little nap before I go to jiu-jitsu, man, let me get it out. Let me get out the stress of the day. And then it'll truly be just about us, not, okay, you're mad at me about something, but I've got all of these other pressures of the day from my regular job and whatever else is life. Now, that's the best time to get me.
Now that my wife trains now, she started training when we opened up the gym, and she's killing it, by the way. Blue belt. She's mom of 2. Works
competing, right?
Part-time job, doing super fights, beating people who are, training for this is what they want to do for a living, right? And she's out there killing it. So super proud of her.
Awesome.
But it's funny, like, well, if we have any like tick and tack going back and forth on anything, we get into the mats, we train, and then it's like, what were
we mad about? Like, does it really matter?
It doesn't matter, So it's cool that we get to do that together now, and I love it.
Happy anniversary, by the way, right? I think I saw you post.
That was July 7th, 9 years.
9 years. 9 years married or together?
9 years married. Married, yeah. We've been together since high school. We met each other when we were 15.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
So let me do some shout-outs to our sponsors.
For sure.
We'll do this real quick. So
sponsors.
Yeah. DD214 Fightwear at DD214_Fightwear. Gear for the war on PTSD. Get 15% off your online order at DD214BJJ.com. Please check out their new Soul Armor gi. We're always talking about it. In the liner of the gi, they put the names of fallen soldiers. So the entire line of gi has all of these names. I think it's amazing. Go check it out. The link is in the bio. Warriors Next Adventure, another veteran organization. They're a nonprofit helping veterans overcome PTSD through recreational therapy. They actually came through South Florida, and they filmed. They were like on the, not even to South Florida. They went around the whole country for like, wound up being a little under 50 days, and went to a whole bunch of gyms and spoke to veterans. And,
that's cool.
He basically like they just like climbed a mountain this week. Like, so he brings veterans with them, and they do, they talk about their feelings, but they're doing something. They have a wolf sanctuary that they go to, or they climb mountains, or go kayak. They do all this kind of really cool stuff. So go check them out. It's warriorsnextadventure.com. Huge shout out to Flow and Roll at flow_n_roll on Instagram. Get 20% off your online t-shirt, rash guard, or gi order with code JJD at flowandroll.com. But you got to check out their kits. They do amazing gi and no gi kits. Their artwork's incredible. Just go to the Instagram, check out the stuff. Let them know Milton sent you. We're going to be doing some really cool stuff that we're still working on a shirt that they're going to have at their events and on their website. So we're going to have a little JJD store on their stuff as well.
Milton who?
What's that?
Milton who?
What did I say?
Milton.
That's me.
Who's that? Oh.
What did I say that? Let him know Milton sent you? Yeah, you're a moron. You threw me off there. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share wherever you're watching or listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to click the bell. And you'll get notifications every time we launch a new video. All right. We're good.
If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to help us thank our sponsors at fightbackcbd.com. Browse their website for a variety of applications. Find the one that's perfect for you. Get 20% off with coupon code JJD at fightbackcbd.com. And check them out on social media at fightbackcbd on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, so I always do a little research. We've talked once. We talked briefly about the fact that you were supposed to fight Conor McGregor.
Right.
So I was just looking up videos. You know, I like to look at other interviews or stuff the week of or the morning of. I'm eating breakfast. I throw something on.
I just feel like I know where this is going.
No, actually nothing crazy. It was funny though. I knew that you told me, and I did see. I never watched it, so I watched. I didn't look at I watched his promo, but it was just kind of cool to hear your name coming out of his mouth.
Right.
But he's the same fucking Connor.
Same guy.
He's the same fucking Connor there as he is now.
It was hilarious, man. Like going back and forth with him on like Twitter battles, and he still had a good following in Ireland, you know, and his followers just going at me.
So it was Cage Warriors, and that was all like UK, Europe.
Yeah, so it was
like
all over the
UAE,
Middle
right?
East and everything. Yeah, I think I fought with like 6 different countries with them. So I mean, that was something that was always one of my goals from fighting was, I want to see the world on someone else's dime.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to fight in Ireland on New Year's Eve. I fought in Wales. I fought in Scotland, Bahrain, where else? Jordan, like just a bunch of places with them. So I thought that was really cool to be able to travel.
But you never got to fight Connor.
I didn't get to fight Connor, man. He pulled out a week before the fight. Supposedly, his teammate Artem Lobov or something fractured his orbital.
Okay.
And he pulled out. I ended up fighting some other guy, some black belt in jiu-jitsu. I was purple belt at the time. Ended up submitting him with a Darce choke.
Okay.
Which was cool. And he ended up, after that, fighting at a different weight. We were supposed to fight again. Didn't happen. Yeah. He's in the UFC and blew up. Became the star he is.
So he got into the UFC before you took a trip over, right?
He got in before me, yeah. I think I came in like maybe a year and a half, maybe something like that, 2 years later into the UFC. So,
again, I know that we probably talked about some of this a little bit last time, but to elaborate on it a little bit, would you see yourself getting back into a cage? Okay, maybe not UFC, but would you? I mean, so let's put this in first. So you've been doing the bare knuckle fighting. You did 3?
I had 4.
You had 4 total?
No, 5. I'm 4-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you haven't fought since we spoke though? Since
the loss, yeah.
Since the loss. Okay, that happened before we spoke. Are you going to be fighting again?
So I haven't really talked about this much, but I got TKO'd in that fight, and then I had a car accident, the Jeep. I got a nice new Jeep. My wife got it for me. I've always just drove whatever car I had, the cheapest car I can find. My wife was like, "You deserve this." Got me this Jeep.
That's awesome.
But I wrecked it like 2 months later. Had like a little flash knockout there. Then I was doing a jiu-jitsu super fight in Orlando for this promotion called Submission Grappling Series.
Okay.
And I was the main event. I'm going against a guy who's pretty well-known over there, Paul Rodriguez. He's the head owner of American Top Team Orlando over there.
Okay.
And so we're real cool. I used to train under him. Cool match. We're having a good time. I have him in a triangle, and he picks me up, slams me. I get knocked out. So I kind of got freaked out because I had some memory loss. I was like, man, I don't remember from me being up in the air thinking I can finish this triangle to being in the back. And, talking to the doctor, like, what? I'm like, oh my goodness, I got knocked out. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. And just got me kind of afraid. Weird. I don't know. I just all of a sudden started thinking, man, I have so much more that I can do to live for. I saw in video like my wife running into the cage, and I was like, man, I don't know. Do I want to like risk getting hit in the head more? Yeah. So I think I decided that I think I'm done with bare knuckle. Yeah. After that, for a couple of reasons, not just that. I think they kind of did me kind of dirty after my last fight. Didn't really hear from them ever again after that. Go from fighting main event for them multiple times, and then lose one fight, and they kind of just went MIA on me.
Do you feel like are they getting big? And
yeah, I think and whatever. I get business. They're getting big. They're signing bigger names. They want other things. But personally, I just didn't want to wait around on the shelf. And I'm going to turn 35 this year. Bare knuckle was just like a fun thing for me to do. It like reignited my love for fighting. I had retired before that too, before I opened up my gym. But it was a fun ride. I had a good time. I fought main events on pay-per-views and made way more money than I ever did in the UFC, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah, that way too much lately, but
yeah. Which was, you know, it's a bad thing right there too. But you know, I made more money than I ever did, like I said, and you know, I had a good time. And it took me a while to like think about like if I want to quit, if I want to stop fighting. But I think I'm, you know, it's hard for anybody to stop, you know, especially after a loss, and thinking that you have much more, because I'll train with people in the UFC, and I'm like, man, I'm keeping up with these guys, you know, easily. You know, I can do that. I can make it back, but do I want to put in the work?
Yeah.
So that's where it comes into, is like, man, I know how much hard work it takes to be on top, you know, and you got to do a lot more. I have a lot going on. I have my gym, it's growing, it's getting big. My kids are getting bigger. I want to spend, you know, more time with them. My wife, I want to make sure that through this whole busy life that I have, that I'm giving her the time that, you know, she needed, so we can nourish our relationship, our marriage, and continue to grow. Am I able to do that while trying to be a fighter right now? I don't know if I can do that, because at the level that I want to fight. I don't want to fight bums ever. Yeah. I want to fight at the highest level that I can fight at. So I don't know. I think I really have to sit down. I'm getting a lot of tests. This is one of the things since I've got insurance. I'm getting get it in. A bunch of tests on my head and everything, just to make sure that I'm okay. I'd hate to ever say that I'm ever done with something, because who knows, I might get this the itch. You know, if you're a fighter, if you're a competitor, you know about that itch that you get, you know, when you don't compete or fight for a while. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for sure, I think I'm done with bare knuckle. I feel that I gained this new confidence in striking, and my jiu-jitsu is at a highest level that it's ever been. I feel like, you know, competing in high level matches and doing well, like with some of the top guys in the world. So I think I'll do good in MMA again. But it's that hard. Like when do you stop? So I don't know. I'm gonna go through all these doctor's appointments, and
I think after a couple of head injuries, you know, the accident.
That's what time, really scared me. You know, so you know, I'm gonna talk to my wife more about it. But as of right now, it's, you know, I'm gonna aim on the future. Yeah, aim on the future. I always tell her now, you know, I'm like, I want to eat this cupcake. I'm like, it's okay. I'm retired now. I'm retired. But you know,
I'm going to use that on my wife.
I still want to compete in jiu-jitsu. You know, I think, of course, I think that was a freak accident. I blame myself, and I knew the risk of, I have a guy in a triangle. He's lifting me up in the air. I could let go. Yeah. You know, but I'm like, I can get this. I know I could get this.
I think I saw the video. You're in a cage.
Yeah, we're in a cage.
So the slamming is allowed. The cage is a little bit more forgiving than a jiu-jitsu mat.
Right. And I think maybe it could be just, you know, the accident, the
combination of a bunch of things.
In 6 months, like 3 head injuries pretty much, you know. So maybe I just wasn't healed up all the way. So I'm trying to heal up even before I take a jiu-jitsu match.
You know, like sometimes people will say, like, you know, they're waiting for a message from the universe. Well, these are your messages.
These are my messages.
These might be your messages. I'm never going to tell somebody not to do something they love.
Exactly. You know, it's always hard, especially friends and stuff, you know, to tell you like, hey, man, I think you should stop and stuff like that. But I personally feel, I think getting there, if not there, for sure already. But I don't know.
Listen, nobody could take those fights away from you.
No, I had a good time, man. I traveled around. I got to see cool things. Met a lot of cool lifelong friends through this sport, and you know, now I have like hungry guys at my gym that, you know, want the same dreams, and I hope I can give them. You know, I tell them I got so much from this sport. The least I can do is try to give back and help you guys get to where past where I was, you know, be a better fighter than I was, work harder, do more things that I wish I had that coach that kind of pushed me that extra edge. I want to be that for them now, you know, and hopefully I am, and hopefully I can continue to make guys that, you know, who cares if they never make it big, but you know, help them achieve that dream of, you know, maybe stepping in the cage once or fighting, you know, on pay-per-view or something one day.
Do you ever think about, okay, so if you're going to leave that behind, do you ever think about, you know, having your own affiliation? Right, you're independent.
Right,
you know, you're not affiliated with any other gym. right?
Yeah. So especially now, as my gym gets a little bit older, we're going on our 3rd year now, and I have higher belts. I had people come in, maybe they were a blue belt somewhere else, and they had a purple belt. Now, years later, they love it. They're at the gym all the time. They want to be a part of it. They want to repeat what I'm doing. We just hit over 100 members at our gym, which is awesome because, man, when COVID hit, we're thinking this might be it.
Yeah. You had just
opened pretty much. We were less than a year old, and we're like, we were trying. I was doing the Zoom stuff. I was doing everything I can, but it's very hard to keep the gym going. We lost a lot of members, but thank God we had a lot of faithful members, and those members kept through with us. I made deals with them like, hey guys, I really just want to keep the doors open. I'm not trying to make money from the gym. I don't really live off the money that we make from the gym yet. Luckily we've made investments and stuff with fight money, and the gym, to live off the gym is a goal, but I want to keep these doors open till this is over with, and so I pretty much lowered a lot of people's payments to just what we needed to pay the bills, and people were cool with that. I was like, hey, do this for 6 months, I'll make your payment this for 6 months if you guys stick with us during this time. A lot of people did. Some people were just like, no, man, just continue the payment. I want to support. Yeah. And my members helped us stick through. And I think now it's awesome because we've seen from May to now, I think we grew like 40 members or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of new white belts, or
a lot of new white belts, a lot of new hungry guys that want to get into it. I think now that the vaccine's out, a lot of people are, not as afraid to go out, and be out. And some people are just maybe have this built up energy, like, man, I need to go out and do something. And they come and we offer kickboxing, we offer jiu-jitsu. So I think because my gym offers both those things, I have it every single day. I'm teaching all these classes, I love to be there. And I think that's what's just, making people want to come in and just do it all.
I know, even my gym now, it's a common refrain now. It's like sea of white belts. When you kind of came back, people were looking for something to do. It took a lot longer for people that were members to come back.
Right.
Than
More than new people.
For me, I hurt my knee before we closed, before the quarantine. So I was sidelined and I had no choice. But when I came back, 9 months later, it's like,
you're like, who are these new people?
Not only who are these new people, who are these large men? Who are these large 20-something men who look like they've been working out the entire quarantine? And I have to deal with this now. And I hadn't picked up weights. I barely did any workouts other than stuff for the knee.
You schlub.
And I'm like, oh man! It's like, and you kind of feel like 9 months. I kind of felt. I've told people I am just in the last couple of months feeling like I'm back to
what did you have in the knee?
It wound up being 2 sprains, ACL, MCL sprain. But originally they told me they were tears and that we couldn't do surgery because the hospitals what kind of surgery would they call that? Surgery centers were closed.
Right.
So they couldn't do surgery. So I was in a brace for a very long time, keeping it straight. And then when I went back, he was like, yeah, you're looking good. And I'm like, okay, so when do we have to do the surgery? He's like, no, no. Then he went from, he said tears to sprain. I'm like, how did you go from that? So I'm like,
you always got to get a second opinion.
Yeah. People always told me that. Yeah. And he's like, no, you got sprains and I've been fine. And
that's good.
But my jiu-jitsu itself, I really feel like I'm just getting back to, again, the last couple of months, where I was then. And it's been, again, you got these young kids coming in, freaking
oh man, yeah. I have a bunch of kids in their 20s, and I'm like, oh man, when you roll with them, they give you 100% every time. So I'm like, man, this is hard. This gets hard after all. Unless as a coach, you got to stay in shape.
Yeah.
I never want to be a coach that doesn't roll with their students and stuff. Like right now, I'm hating it.
Yeah,
I'm hating that I can't roll with my students and train with them. That's how how they're improving and what things that they can work on, and that's how you can build off your classes. Like, man, every time I'm rolling, I'm noticing they're not getting these things.
Yeah.
But when I can't do that, it's horrible. I'm like, man, I need to roll.
So I don't know if I had gotten my question out. Would you ever create an affiliate, like an affiliation?
Yeah,
would you have put your name on other gyms?
Yeah, for sure. I think over time, as I developed my program and how my gyms ran, and if I can duplicate that,
put out a curriculum for other people,
put out a good curriculum, and these are things that I'm working on that it took me a while. When I opened up this gym, it was just like, I love jiu-jitsu. I'm good at jiu-jitsu.
Had you coached before?
Yeah,
Have you coached at other gyms
I've
before?
coached at other gyms. I've been coaching since I was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, which was, a very long time ago now. But I was purple belt for 5 years already, so that tells you something. And I taught kids, and I really, my degree was in elementary education, so I thought, maybe I'll have like a big kids program, and that's the route I'll go and stuff. But the teaching part, easy, man. I feel like I love teaching. I love connecting with the students. It's that background stuff that you don't know unless you go to business school.
I was going to say the business side of it.
The business side.
There's two parts of this. There's the
two
business
parts,
side, and then there's the actual training.
You gotta really study and learn and practice, and you're gonna have some things that work and some things that don't work. And once I find all those things and continue to develop everything that I want to be the gym, that I'm like, okay, this is perfect. This is the way that I want this gym to run. That might not be ever. I can constantly improve it, but when I can duplicate that, then it's definitely something that I want, because I wouldn't want my name to just be on anything.
Yeah. I find that I've been talking to coaches or owners of other gyms, when there isn't a curriculum that comes down from the affiliation, it's a little bit of a problem. It's like everybody's doing their own thing.
It's almost like, I don't know, if I'm going to pay for an affiliate, I want them to help me.
They should be bringing something to the table.
And it should be like, hey, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to be successful at doing it. And let me give you the step-by-steps to get there. Yeah. It's easy to put that on paper too, and I guess for me is I have a vibe at my gym that I want to keep. Yeah. So I want people to walk into any other Alers martial arts, and feel that same vibe. I don't want them to go a different route. So I'd have to be very careful to choose who I would want to hold up that banner of mine.
You're very you've seen, again, I've met you now second time or three times. Once in the gym, once now, and via Zoom. Yeah. You seem like the easiest of going guys. Man, your voice is very soft. You're very soft spoken. I'm not the first person to ever say that to you.
I tell people, I'm like, man, they just probably assume sometimes that I'm like this hardcore mean person, or just all about fighting. I'm like, man, that's the last thing. I'm super super laid back. It's very hard to get me angry. Yeah.
When we talked the first time, and I had done research for that episode, you were having, I think maybe you had already had the fight with Palomino.
Yeah.
And you kind of had that, you were having that kind of back and forth at the weigh-in.
Right.
And again, I had met you at the gym, so then I'm looking at that later, and I'm like, that's not, wow. He's not, I don't feel like he was like that, not that you were putting on an act. I'm like, I didn't see him that angry, so I don't know that angry man.
Right. No, yeah. It's very hard to get me to that. You have to do a lot. I think me and Baboon are super cool, man. We're really good friends.
You guys have trained together. You trained together.
We used to train together, yeah. But during that time, like we both felt like we deserved that title. Yeah. So everything that you saw, that became real, and it really built up. But at the end of the day, we've hung out together, we've chilled together after that. Yeah. We're good friends, but we both wanted that, and in the fight world, that's going to happen.
I find what I just said to you too. I find that a lot in jiu-jitsu. It feel like jiu-jitsu usually, and an odd episode to say that on, weeds out the dirtbags. Right. The people that are there to be bullies, the people that are consciously like, I'm going to learn this so that I can beat people up.
They don't last.
They don't last. They can't last because they don't fit in with that culture. Right? It's like we become, I'm going to let you manipulate this arm and potentially break it, and you're going to let me do the same next time.
We're putting your life in danger. You're putting your life in danger. Anything could happen when you're on the mats. It might sound over dramatic to say that, but like you said, I'm trusting you to put a rear naked choke on me and to let go when I tap.
When I say,
so you have to build that friendship that, that's what I tell people at my gym. We're all here learning. We're all here trying to get better. None of you guys are above anybody else, right?
There are two people in my life that don't do jiu-jitsu as far as friends. That man right there.
Oh, man.
Which I'm trying to get him on the mat. And one friend from New York that I keep in touch with. I mean, you got your Facebook friends. People that I see, I invited him to my wedding. Put it that, that was my one friend from New York that I invited to my wedding.
I was telling my wife, I do not think, I don't think I know anybody that is out of the fight game, really. Maybe from my church now. Yeah. I've been, really big into getting into church now. And so from my church, but even myself working on them, like, man, come to the gym, come train, so who knows, maybe
everybody else I know. Everyone else I know is involved with very specifically jiu-jitsu more than anything. I can't even say it, it's all jiu-jitsu, it's all the co-hosts are my friends. We go out together, we'll have beers together, we go out and eat, we meet up, and we make sure we stay in touch.
You're like-minded people. What I say is hey man, I want to be around people with the same goals, with the same ideas that have like the same things as myself. Why? I have throughout my career, my life in general too, I've had to get rid of some friends, because I was doing the wrong thing, making bad decisions. And, when I came to think about it, I was like, I had these friends that weren't, if I was doing something bad, they weren't like, hey man, you shouldn't be out. You really need to be drinking right now.
They were throwing fuel on the fire.
And I was like, man, I had to, get rid of those people throughout my life. And it only improves, when you're around people who all have the same like-minded ideas. They want to be about their family. They want to improve. They want to just be a better person than they were yesterday. Then that's going to improve yourself too.
Yeah. Did you ever think that jiu-jitsu was going to blow up like this? Like when you first started, you started, how many years has it been now?
I started in 2005 jiu-jitsu. And when I started in Orlando. There was one school, Gracie Baja. That's it. And just from that one school, right now, I can tell this is maybe a way that you can see how much it's blown up. I think, man, there's at least 20, 25 schools in Orlando or something like that, all like branched off of these schools. And when I mean Orlando, I mean like Central Florida in general. And so many people came, and schools break apart, people whatever, and just the amount of schools. So it's crazy. But in the retrospect, we're still small. We need to get bigger. We need to grow. There's so many things that we could do to improve the sport and get it more mainstream. But there's still people out there that I'll tell them, I fought in the UFC, and they're like, what is it? Like, what is that? Is that like that thing where no rules and everything? And I'm like, so that's how you can see how
anything more than
exactly. And then so from there, I have to try to explain what jiu-jitsu is. Sometimes I'm like, people call the gym Alers martial arts. They just want their kid in something. I'm like, hey, so do you have any idea like what you're calling about jiu-jitsu, about kickboxing? I'm like, no, not really. So then I try to explain, have you seen the UFC? They're like, And I'm like, well, that's usually my first go-to is like, everything that you see. Oops, that was right. Everything that you do see in the UFC, like on the ground, without the striking, that's jiu-jitsu. That's grappling. That's what you're going to learn when we're doing jiu-jitsu. And, you have the sports way, you have the self-defense way, but, this is grappling. And that's how I try to explain it. But even then, I have people who call and have no idea what that is, So we still have a long way to go. I think a lot of times people who are in the jiu-jitsu scene may feel that it's a lot bigger right now than what it is, but we still have so much. We can grow it. We can get it better. We can get bigger. We can do so much more so people can kind of honestly see, this guy Gracie did it. He showed the whole world, and still there's people doing karate. There's still people,
So what are as someone who trains people right? You're doing kickboxing, you're doing jiu-jitsu. Anything else?
We do full mixed martial arts as well. Okay. So I have the way I teach my kids program. I want the children to want to do this for the rest of their life. And maybe they might not become world champions and stuff, but I want it to be fun. I want it to be something that they want to keep coming to as they get older and grow, and maybe keep jiu-jitsu as a lifetime thing, not just something they say that they did when they were a little kid. And I feel at times gyms that really push that competition and stuff, that the kids, I've seen it so many times that kids stop, they quit, they get tired of it as they get older. Very, very few, you have these very few of the kids that make it all the way and they become these prodigies. We're starting to see it more with some of these guys who you see, the Mikey Musumeci, who, was a Kid Star coming up, the Batulo brothers and stuff. As much I see these guys come and they get so big, but I want to make jiu-jitsu something that people do forever. Who cares if you become a world champ? Awesome. I hope that's an awesome goal. I hope it happens. It's a small percentage of people. I want them to be able to say, man, I have jiu-jitsu forever. So I want to make it fun. I want to make it something that they do forever.
It's there. I've made this statement before that there are more of us than there are of them. Us meaning a guy like me who's a hobbyist. My intention was never to compete. My intention was never to be in a larger organization or be on a fight to win. I mean, I didn't even know about that stuff. I just wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. I wanted the self-defense and I wanted the exercise. I take nothing away from somebody that wants to be a star or take it further. Great.
Right.
I'm here to come on the
support.
show.
Yeah, that's cool.
Come on, I'll support you. But there are so many people that, like, if you say, I don't compete, I'm saying if you say I don't compete, oh, you don't compete.
Why not?
Why? Well, yeah. I said, well, I did compete. I had a freaking heart attack, and it's very hard for me to train the way I need to be able to stay on that mat to do 3 to 6 matches. My cardio can't keep up, and my heart can't keep up with it.
Right.
Can I get there again one day? I would love to, but I have a 9 to 5, and
right
now
now
I have to do that.
You enjoy going on the mats. You love the thought process that jiu-jitsu gives you.
I can't live without it. I can't live without it, but it's giving me what I need.
Right.
And this is the way that I'm giving back, is through the podcast and spreading the word. You know, I call it spreading the word. Spreading the word.
And that's something that I need to learn to like. Yeah. I love, I love the sport. I love the mixed martial arts. I want to be a part of it more. Yeah. Maybe competition might not always be a thing. You know, there's going to be times when I'm hurt or this, but
find the next gym. Find the next gym, Alers. You know,
be a part of it in different ways. Yeah. And you know, like I said, I have fighters. I have people that are aspiring to make it to the UFC, you know, and that's cool too. But the majority of my students are hobbyists, you know, and I respect that. I tell people, hey, if you want to compete, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you're going to be as ready as you're going to be, and you know that you can do the best that you're going to do. And if not, you don't have to compete. It's not a thing. I'm not pushing it towards you. You know, if it's something that you want to try, I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there for you and make sure that you do the best that you can. Are
you a fan as well as a practitioner and a competitor? Or do you know who's on the card tonight on Fight to Win? Are you rushing home to watch it?
That's another thing where this is kind of like, especially what we talked about earlier, where it's just kind of like crazy news to me because I honestly don't really follow jiu-jitsu. I know it might sound crazy for people.
No, it doesn't. I hear that more from guests than the other side.
The more that I got more into, especially in my gym and just being around it all the time, I had to make other hobbies now too, because it's work now also. As much as I love it and stuff, it is work. So I had to start thinking of like what else do I like? So hearing about like some of these fight to wins, and people are like, are you watching the I don't even know all the acronyms. ABC, WPC, I don't know. I have no idea what all the acronyms are done, but I know I've fought for fight to win. I take these matches and I don't know who I'm facing half the time. You know, I have people message me like, hey, if your next match is going to be against the last guy I just fought in Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. He won it. I won the first match, and then Jimenez or you know,
I know the kid. Yeah,
I think he's doing really good. He's like killing it. So he won the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds at 170.
Roberto.
There you go. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I don't know who this guy is. But I was watching him, and I'm like, oh, like at the tournament, I'm watching. I'm like, man, you know. So the whole time, yeah. So I won the first match against this tough guy, cool guy, man. We hung out in Mexico after that for a bit, but and then the second match, I faced this guy who the whole time I was preparing for Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. I'm just practicing heel hook defense because I feel like that's all I see anyone trying to do anymore, you know, is heel hook, heel hook, heel hook, heel hook. So I feel like my defense is on point, happy with it. First match, I fight all the heel hooks, get out all of them, finish the match with a submission. Second guy comes in, it just pulls guard, and I'm like, okay, I've been in this position before, and I'm like, man, I can't get out. And he's just like holding me tight, and I'm like, what is this guy's not? It doesn't even seem this strong, and just basic jiu-jitsu, and boom, armbarred me. Maybe I'm lucky. Every other person, same thing, basic jiu-jitsu, and just finished everybody. I was like, man, this is awesome. This guy just bought back like that simple jiu-jitsu. He wasn't looking for heel hooks. He wasn't doing all this fancy stuff, and he was just finishing everybody, you know. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is a new generation, young kid who is doing awesome. But like I said, I had no idea who he was.
If I didn't start to watch the stuff on Full Grappling, I wouldn't know who he was either. And because of the show, and we started to bring competitors on and bigger names, it was like kind of had to.
Right.
But then now I really enjoy it. I do love them. I'm between my love of the UFC and my love of jiu-jitsu, it's a full-time job if you want to watch everything and know everything. Like, these guys are fighting in different organizations. It's Fight to Win. It's WNO. It's, this guy just got, moved up. We had a guest on that's now in the UFC.
Wow, yeah.
Or he's getting his shot. I'm trying to figure out, is he actually going to be fighting on a card, or is he on Dana White's Contender Series? I don't even know, but he's like, we got our shot. I'm going to be fighting in front of Dana, and I haven't seen a post from him for
man.
I think they got him on
usually they can't tell
Blackout.
you anything.
So I'm like, is he going to a Tough? Is it going to be? But he says he's fighting in front of Dana. There's so much I can't possibly, and I love it all.
I think the reason I don't really follow jiu-jitsu so much is that I base a lot of my grappling and everything for fighting. I think about, man, if I'm in this situation, I don't want to get punched on. I think of MMA style jiu-jitsu. And my gym is, I cater towards it all, where I'm teaching you guys, like, this is jiu-jitsu, but sport jiu-jitsu is a little bit different, but I love that I go out there and compete and leading from the front, showing that, like, hey man, I definitely don't have a lot of the fancy stuff that a lot of these people are doing, but I'm going out there competing with them, and beating people with just that real basic back to drill it, and it works. I take the back. I want to get in there, take your back, rear naked choke you. That's my goal. I'm going to get there many different ways. I'm going to make it happen, but I want to get to those dominant positions.
My father, boxing fan. We used to have these basically like 5 or 6 of us, maybe as many as 10 friends and family that we used to get together, and it's like everybody had a pay-per-view, like a boxing pay-per-view. We'd go to different houses. Everybody hosted, and all those guys hated the UFC. There was, old timers, all these cops.
It's hard.
My dad was a cop, so like all these cops, retired cops, UFC, whatever. And my father slowly got into it. And in the beginning, it was just like, oh, here they go on the ground. Oh, they're laying on top of each other. It drives me freaking nuts because my wife does that. She knows it gets me mad, so she'll be like, are they wrestling?
I do it as a joke all the time when I see it. Sometimes I'll be at live events, and I'm like, this is boring. I mean, honestly, like, for myself sometimes, because if you understand jiu-jitsu, then you want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You want to see, what's going to happen. But for the fans too, if they don't, most of the casual fans, they want to see you just in MMA banging, swinging,
get knocked out.
But if I see people on the ground that I can tell don't know what they're doing, I'm like, referee, stand them up.
Yeah.
He's just laying there. He has no idea what he's going to do there. If I see Damian Maya take somebody down,
like, don't touch them.
Wait, give him some time. But it's different when the person doesn't have any jiu-jitsu and they're just they lay down on you and just waiting for nothing to happen.
So I started to have these conversations over the last couple of years with my dad. He'll be like, "Oh, did you see the UFC?" Like, he's coming to me like, "Did
so
you see the UFC?"
He's going to the dark side.
But I would be like, "No, I didn't see it." He's like, "I thought you were this huge fan. What's going on?" Like, he's like, "Hey, this guy Connor or this and that," and he knows he's starting to know the names. Or he'll be like, "Hey, who was that guy?" And I'm like, "I didn't watch." He's like, "What?
Man, it's
thought
hard.
You do this.
It's so hard to keep up.
I
try. When I first started, I was such a big fan. I was keeping up with everybody. When I got into the UFC, I was such a fanboy. Like, I saw taking pictures with Uriah Faber, this, that. Like, no matter who, hey man, take a picture with me, because I was still such a big fan. I couldn't believe, oh my God, I'm here fighting with people who I used to watch on television.
Yeah.
But over time, it's just like there's so many events now. It's really hard to keep up. If I don't know the person physically, like, I'm like, this is a friend, this is someone that I've trained with, then honestly, I don't. You
want to watch it, like, you'll make time to watch it.
Yeah, I'll make time to watch it. We have there's people that I'm like, man, I can't miss this guy's fight. Elvin Espinosa, he trains out of Round 5 in Hialeah Gardens. He just fought for PFL. This guy's a killer, and I'm like, man, I need to watch this fight, and I don't feel like that when John Jones is fighting, when Conor McGregor is fighting, but he's not known yet because I'm like, this kid's gonna be known.
Yeah.
I know this. I've seen him train. I'm like, this kid's gonna be a prodigy, and I'm happy to like support people that I know, people that I train. I'm like, I want to watch him. I want to see how he succeeds, and then you get to almost be a part of their journey.
Yeah.
Like, man, I watched him since he was in the beginning.
I'll tell you, I do have. I don't know if I've ever spoken about this on the podcast. I do have a dream of one day cornering somebody in a UFC fight as like be the jiu-jitsu guy in the corner. That would be amazing. That would be like a dream come true.
Yeah, those are aspirations as a coach as I get older. Like I've cornered so many people, in different events, and I'm like, that would be something cool. It'd be like, man, I fought there, and man, now I'm in the corner coaching somebody.
I love one of the best. I love training people at my regular job, and I love coaching jiu-jitsu. I haven't done it really since my first gym. I was a 2-stripe blue belt when I left, where he closed, and then I went to Fight Sports, so I haven't really had a chance to do it.
Let's make it happen, man. You'll be the jiu-jitsu coach. I'm the striking coach. Both of us, same dream.
I would like at my gym now, if I see somebody new, like I'll make a point. Me and a black belt, where we were doing our, doing drills, and I saw 2 white belts, like the black. We were doing some sweeps, and I could see 2 white belts training, and they were like looking at each other, like, "What are we doing?" And I just said, "Hey, bro, grab one, I'll grab the other," and we just grabbed them, and then I'm showing this guy that's been training for 3 days. He's had 3 classes.
Right.
I love that. I'm like, all right, look, we got to start here. And I know that basics. I love.
Yeah,
that's what I did. I was a white belt coaching. I was a blue belt coaching.
Right. That's what
basics.
That's how good schools are. I love that.
Though.
That you see that, and students see that, and they go out of their way to help. I tell my students after every class, especially like I said, all these new white belts, hey, you guys all remember your first day here, whether it was you came here as a blue belt or as a purple belt still, right? You didn't know everybody. I mean, that's hard for a lot of people, and especially people now coming, haven't seen people for a while. They've been in isolation.
Culture shock.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, I'm around people again. Like make people feel comfortable. Get to know. If you're in a class, I tell people, I'm like, I know every single one of my members' names. And I make it very important that I do know that, because I think that would be crazy to have a coach and he doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit about them all. I'm like, hey, what do you guys do? Let's work with each other. If you have a business, let's try to promote it from within so that everyone can benefit off of it.
Yeah.
And especially with teaching. Hey guys, you see that, you remember your first day, help them out.
And I tell people when I talk about coaching, I love coaching because I love to see somebody get it. At work, I call it an idea on a napkin. When a company calls in and says, I have an idea for this new product, or I need to launch this, watching it go from that idea and helping them, and then it's like out in the public, whatever it is, whether it's a service or a product. It's the same way with jiu-jitsu. Like, I love when they don't get it and then they're doing it, and then even better when somebody that you taught to do something is teaching it to somebody else teaching it the right way.
That's the
amazing
best thing.
Feeling,
because
I love that.
It's what you have in your mind. You were able to give it. You were able to give this gift to somebody, and say, here, I'm giving this to you. And they used it and they give it to somebody else. And it's a gift that can just keep on giving.
And that, the selfish part of that, of liking the coach, is when I'm teaching something and I'm not saying I'm the best coach and this is what I do. I don't coach at my gym. I'll just grab somebody and take it upon myself. And Felipe actually, like, I know once in a while, he'll be like, hey, Mel, grab. And he just knows, he'll be like, hey, grab that guy. And like, all right, hey, 2 days, take it easy on him. And I'll know, okay, hey, look, get in my guard. I'm going to show you how to do, go from guard, break the guard, side control. I'm going to go through the basics. We're not going to roll while everybody else is trying to kill each other. But that selfish part of that is I get better at that thing that I'm showing them, because it forces me to remember the little, where's my foot?
Oh yeah. Teaching.
Where's my arm?
When I bring people to the kids class, I'm like, hey, you're going to learn a lot here, because as you're teaching, that's how I first started teaching. I started teaching the kids class. I tell people, if you can teach kids, you can teach anybody, right? With kids, the first thing you need is patience. Without that, you're not going to get far teaching kids.
It's hard. That's where the whole play jiu-jitsu comes into, especially the little guys.
Right.
You got to keep their attention, right? I mean, that's the hardest. So
right. How are you going to do that? Where sometimes jiu-jitsu can be very, very hard to explain to people. So if you can break it down to a 5-year-old, then adults shouldn't be too hard to handle. Usually I tell people,
Yeah.
and sometimes you need to break it down like that because it's like you're learning a new language at times, so someone brand new coming into this is all brand new, so you might have to break it down step by step by step. You got to know everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
Some people are hands-on, some people can visually see it. You learn that through teaching kids, you learn that through being an assistant. If you have a good coach, he's trying to help you understand these things so that maybe one day when you're a coach, that's how I look at it. Anybody who's like an assistant with me, like, man, maybe one day when you're a coach, I want you to do it the right way.
Yeah. Believer in the blue belt curse? Is that a real thing?
That's a real thing. Yeah. I already know.
What is it? What is it about the blue belt? What is it about that moment?
That makes
that moment of getting the blue. At blue belt? What is it about that so many people fall off?
I think that's when jiu-jitsu kind of gets hard.
Okay. All right.
A blue belt is very like it's not too hard to understand a lot of the moves. If you think about what do you feel like a blue belt should know, and it's just a lot of those basic things, and it's with timing and stuff, things happen and those things evolve. And I tell people like blue belt, you know each move, and man, you can hit it now. You're hitting it on the newer white belts. You're ready for that blue belt. You are, you're doing well in class and everything, but against other white belts and stuff. You understand the moves, you're getting the submissions. But when you start having to string things together, sometimes it gets a little bit harder when you're realizing, oh man, it's going to take a little bit more for me to move on to this next belt. People are just happy. Like, hey man, you know what? I got the blue belt. I know jiu-jitsu. I can defend myself if I need to, which I feel personally myself, anybody who I give a blue belt should be able to defend themselves against most people on the street, and people think that's crazy, but I mean, you see it, you do jiu-jitsu. When a new person comes in and you can just literally like do the most simplest things to them, and it gets away no matter how big they are, but it works. But I think most people think, I got that blue belt, I'm good. I don't need to keep going. And it's more than that. It's more than that, becoming jiu-jitsu, really understanding jiu-jitsu, and to get your black belt, I tell people it's like, it's not just what it's understanding the whole timing and how to put your weight and stuff. That's just stuff that you learn on the mat, over time and years and years and years.
I have never thought about quitting jiu-jitsu, not once, ever. As a matter of fact, I overdid it in the beginning. I was with my now wife, my girlfriend, 6 days a week, minimum 2 hours a day, open mats on Saturdays, traveling to other gyms on Saturday, only taking Sundays off. And it absolutely never crossed my mind. When I started at Fight Sports, that was probably, I think 3 years into my jiu-jitsu. And Junior, I don't know if you know Junior Vega, he's one of the hosts on the show every once in a while. He's a black belt under Felipe. And he used to be like, man, sometimes you're he just came off the mat one day, and I know it's not his saying, but he was like, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I do feel that way. So when I have a bad day, I was like,
you just got to remember that.
I just have to remember because sometimes I have a bad day. Somebody kicked my ass, or I'm just not getting something, or my back is something's hurting, and it's just like I can't really move. Like they want me to move, and I'm doing even a drill. I'm like, oh, I can't get in that position.
It's
crazy. I say it to myself. I'm like, okay, you were the nail.
You got to remember that.
And then sometimes, like today, everybody was like 60 pounds lighter than me. I was able to really practice like technique today because it was just like, okay, get this Kimura, let it go, get this leg, let it go. And, I was the hammer today. I wasn't beating up. There was like girls and kids. You didn't. But you get the point, right? So I was the hammer today. But on those bad days, that's what people need to tell themselves. Like, I'm not always supposed to be the hammer. I'm not always supposed to feel like I just came out of there and I won a UFC. I have to know that those, again, it may sound corny to us. We know, we hear like, you don't lose, you learn. You have to be that nail in order to really be that hammer one day, to learn the stuff that you need to learn. So I go out of my, like, if I'm having a bad day, again, never thought about quitting, but if I'm like, oh man, God, I'm getting old, man, those kids really tooled me up today. I'm going to say, hammer nail.
I feel like in jiu-jitsu, let's say if you take out grappling, right? I think a lot of people will stay because they never have to really test themselves. So let's say you do all the moves, you know all the submissions and everything, but you never live practice
like
it.
roll.
You never live practice it, and that's where it really comes into play. And how hard of work are you putting in?
Yeah.
Like, are you getting better? Are you doing this? And if you take that away, I think more people will do it. I think the fact that, when you start rolling and doing all these things, you start to realize like, man, I need to do more. I need to do more to get better. And I think after blue belt, I think people are just content. They're like, I'm happy with this.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. Whatever. It doesn't need to go any further.
Yeah.
Where it sucks. It sucks because I tell people, look around. I remember I had a blue belt test when I got my blue belt. It was the only test I ever took for any belt.
Yeah.
I was part of Gracie Baja, and took a picture. There's like 30 people getting their blue belt. And I looked at that, and I'm like, oh, wow, only 2 people there got their black belt.
Yeah.
Me and this other gentleman there. And, everybody else, they faded away. It happens.
I don't want to be that guy, man.
Yeah. It's a very small percentage, and it's hard. You gotta keep that love for it.
For me, like, again, never considered quitting. The only thing that I ever worry about, I'm not going to wood a lot right now, is injury.
Yeah.
Is injury. Again, did have the heart attack, only affects my cardio, but doesn't affect me being able to go to the gym. There's never been a time like, oh, my heart hurts today.
Right.
I can't go train. No, never. But it does affect my cardio. Part of that is a bigger guy. I need to lose weight. I know that. But my heart, when I start to roll, I can feel my heart beating faster than I remember it beat. I can feel it. I'm very conscious of it. So I know when it's going fast. And I know what the thing with jiu-jitsu is, I can stall and get it to slow down.
Right.
I'll even it may sound funny, I don't know if anybody else does this. My first coach taught me before the heart attack, he was a big dude, like a little bit of Lamaze breathing. Like if he was in a bad position, just going.
Breathe differently.
And
yeah.
I know I can bring my heart down. So I'm able to do that. But the only way that I would ever stop is if my body couldn't continue. Again, I'm 48. I want to die on the mats at 90.
A good coach, like I said, having to roll with your students and figure these things out. Because let's say you started jiu-jitsu at 60, and I know people who started jiu-jitsu at 60, and you can't compare what he can do to a 20-year-old, you know? So maybe he's a purple belt at 60 going against a white belt who's like just athletic, strong and everything. I'm sure you can probably, do some things. So it's hard as a coach, as you're promoting. You just got to really feel like, does this person know enough and will be able to represent my jiu-jitsu in a way that I feel is suitable, for their age, for what they're capable of doing. Not everyone's a competitor, like you said, so competitors can get, I feel, promoted differently than
they do, right? Of
course. And if you're competing and you're beating everybody all the time, you're one worlds, and you're not going to stay that belt for much longer. But you hear of other situations, like I said, I was a purple belt for 5 years.
Yeah.
There's people who are, man, they're competing, they compete, they win, they get promoted. But I think you got to think of the hobbyists. Like, hey, man, this is for fun. I'm doing it, to protect myself, for self-defense, for fitness. You got to have different criteria too of how you promote them. Yeah, they should know everything, but man, if they're not keeping up with you can't. Oh man, you're losing to the blue belts, even though
he's 21.
That's not how it works. You got to be able. When you roll with them as a coach, I put myself in bad positions. I bait my students to see if they take the bite and they go for positions. And when they do, I'm like, okay, and sometimes when they're ahead of me, I'm like, okay, you're understanding it now.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do something else. You went past that. You're getting it. And
cool.
The only way to do that is to do it with your coach. And as a coach, you should be able to set different levels knowing your student. Like I have pro fighters. I'm going to go hard on them, because I have a expectation that you guys are going in there against another pro fighter who's trying to knock your head off. You should be at a level. When I'm going with other people who do it for fun, I'm not trying to submit them 100 times. That doesn't show me what they know. Doesn't show me that they're understanding jiu-jitsu.
Will you still compete will you still compete in like the local jiu-jitsu tournaments? I remember when we spoke, you're like, I'll do a new breed. I'll do this.
Of course. I'll do any jiu-jitsu still, man, just because I love
competitions and fight to wins. That you'll still do.
All of it, yeah. As far as jiu-jitsu, I'll still do it. If there's
even the combat
if there's
stuff
a tournament
with the striking.
So in combat, I think I got like slapped like one time, and it felt like way different than.
Yeah. Did you see that video of that kid that was like throwing both his hands
awesome.
up in a competition?
That's awesome.
He was like I mean, that was. I'd rather him punch me.
Yeah.
He was like slamming me down, and
like
then he
I
got
said,
submitted.
What helps me is that my jiu-jitsu is very like MMA based. So when I'm in positions, I'm always aware of like this guy can punch me here, this guy can hit me here. So I control a lot of positions so that I can't get hit. So like that's why I felt like, oh man, combat jiu-jitsu is going to be great for me because of my MMA background. My whole MMA game was take you down, ground and pound you, submit you.
Again, as a hobbyist, I would like to compete again one day. There's always a little bit in the back of my mind that goes, I'm going to show up and I'm going to see a pro MMA guy or somebody that's like doing the local competition.
And you're like, oh my goodness.
Like, oh, come on,
Yeah.
really?
That's why I
don't
feel,
know if they need to separate that. I mean, as
far as
a
competition
pro
wise,
doing a jiu-jitsu tournament,
it's super hard.
Yeah.
I mean, they try their best. I think there's too many jiu-jitsu tournaments now. First of all, like there'll be like 3 tournaments in South Florida on the same day. That does not help the jiu-jitsu community. Why? Let's say you signed up for a tournament, I signed up for a different tournament, same team going to 2 different schools, less competitors in your weight class. Some people are getting no. I've been to so many tournaments where my students have no competitors in their weight class. Because you got to think these tournaments are what, $100. Not everyone has that money. So especially if you have 3 tournaments in the same month, let alone the same day, people probably can only do 1 tournament every other month maybe, or this. So that spreads it out so much. So when these guys aren't working together, and I feel like they should work together, and I think that will benefit everybody more. It's like, hey, I'm doing a tournament over here September 11th. Can we not do any other tournament like within, a certain time frame to give people some time like to get some money to do this? Because like I said, some people may compete and then that's the only time they did it that year.
I don't think you'll ever see that.
It's not going to happen.
They're all running their own businesses.
People want to make money, and so less and less people are.
It makes a lot of sense, though. That makes a lot of sense. I got 2 listener questions.
All right,
we're going to hit you with here. Manuel Garcia _21. Let me speak into the mic. It says, ask him if he plans to compete in any world-class jiu-jitsu tournaments like ADCC or Polaris, or even who's number 1.
Yeah, so that really was my goal. Like I was really getting into the competition. I was happy I got into the combat jiu-jitsu worlds. I felt like that was a step towards getting into that like pro jiu-jitsu level. Being on Fight to Win, I'm 3-0 on Fight to Win in no-gi, so whoever wants it, by the way, can come. We can try to set a matchup. But I wanted to do that. I'm like, man, this is the next a good route to go. But then after that knockout, it kind of like set me back. I was supposed to be on Submission Underground the next day. And I had to pull out, and that's what I felt like, going towards the route to being on that, being on more of these pay-per-view shows that more gets my name out there more on Flow Grappling, on this, on that. So definitely I want to go that route. So hopefully,
are you able to travel a little bit more now with your wife in the gym? I mean, I'm not sure how many coaches you have, but can you travel and like the gym can take care of itself while you're doing that? Because you're spreading like kind of the word, the name, your name, the gym name, and then some coaches are like, I'm not going to be here. Who's going to coach? Who's going to open?
So I have great guys who help me out with the gym. When I'm not there, I try not to be there. I teach all the classes, as many classes as I possibly can, all the kids classes, the adult classes. But when I'm not there, I think my students are very understandable. They're proud of me. They're happy to see me out there competing. Yeah. Or, there's times where I'm like, hey, we got people competing. I got to go. I have to go and be there for them. One thing I hated as a student is that the amount of tournaments I went to that not one coach went to. Really? Or higher belt or something. If I can't make it, I ask a purple belt or something. Hey, can you go and please be there? I have to be somewhere else. going out there by yourself sucks.
Yeah.
So many times that my wife was my only corner. I'm like, just tell me the time, tell me to keep going.
Yeah.
Just motivate me.
You can do
Yeah. I'm like, that helps me. It does. It helps me. Sometimes I'm like, man, this is hard. And I see that and I'm like, man, I can do this. I got 2 more minutes.
So we talked about your wife before. I forget how deep we went into it, but you said she's competing, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. She drank the punch.
Yeah, man.
She's
a killer.
A jiu-jitsu practitioner. Does she love it? Is it like again? Is it like her heart is truly in
man.
it?
She really likes it. She enjoys it. She loves teaching the kids.
You said she had some super fights too, right?
Yeah, she's had a bunch of super fights now. She just did the White Lion tournament. Actually, that was a tournament.
Okay,
but did awesome in that. She's competed against blue belts who have been blue belts for multiple years, 4 or 5 years, and compete all the time. And this is their life. And she's out there keeping up with them, if not beating them. And I'm just super proud. I'm like, this is crazy because a couple of years ago you wouldn't even think about stepping on the mat, and here you are now, doing awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I still never got my wife on the mat.
Oh man, yeah. It took me a long time. It was hard.
I'll probably start on it tomorrow. I said we just bought a new house. I have mats.
Oh, there you go. That's a good start.
She's not giving me. She wants it for her too. We have a little gym going in, half of the garage. I've got the mats. I got to get a punching bag for her, but I'm hoping with it there
My wife first started with kickboxing. She would come to the kickboxing classes, and then I had a female try a class, and I'm like, Melissa, please, can you try a class? Be her partner, and she did, and then she kept doing it, and now she loves
it. Kick dancing? Yeah.
I did joke with my wife, but I've gone to the school with her, and I go, and it's tough. I call it dance fighting, just to pick her up sometimes. I'm like, oh, you're going to dance fighting today? I'm like,
oh man.
And it gets our relationship got better when she found kickboxing, because then she really understood this. She understood jiu-jitsu. She was like, I don't know that she ever came out and verbalized the aha moment, but when she would say like, can you pick up Ari? I'm going to and I'm like, gotcha. There, you see that? I don't want to miss it. I can't miss it. I'm a different person when I miss it. You joke about like, hey, take my picture and put it up on the bag when you go, like when you're mad at me. But now she understands. So this is easier for her to deal with, with me taking the time. Look, I have a 9 to 5 and then I'm doing a podcast 2 or 3 times a month. She's okay with it. She understands it and she knows, she's seen it grow. I'm hoping that with the gym in the house that hey, just come on. Hey, let me show you something. She thinks that I'm going to like beat her up. And I'm like, no, I want to show you how to protect yourself against somebody attacking you. Like, it's not going to be what, you see me rolling around in the gym and you think I'm going to try to do that to you. No, I want to show you and my daughter how to protect yourself. So mats are there. We just like everything went in the garage and you move in, you know how that is.
When you have mats, it changes. I'm telling you.
I can't wait to
probably
move
be able
everything, man.
To get her onto the mat.
I think so. You
need shin guards too, because she's going to kick you in the shin.
I'll let her kick me. It's kind of cute when she tries to kick me. All right. So, second question from Manuel: who's your favorite active grappler? Do you have one?
That's another thing. Like I said, man,
you don't really follow it.
I don't really follow it. I think it's really cool what Gordon Ryan's doing. Yeah. Yes, he's all craziness that he's whatever he said, but I think he's bringing a lot of like eyes to. He brought a lot of eyes to jiu-jitsu. I don't even know if he's still grappling.
He has the problem with his stomach. I think he might come back from it.
But
they're opening gyms and they're opening an affiliation with Danaher and starting in outside around Austin.
I think it's awesome that people coming into jiu-jitsu, brand new white belts, they're like, oh, they talk about Gordon Ryan or something. I'm like, oh man, this guy's doing the right thing. He's getting the name out there. And from what I've heard and seen, man, he's beat everyone that's even come not even close. He's just doing so many things. So I would have to say maybe him, I guess, because just of all the stuff that he's bringing to jiu-jitsu. Oh wait, I got one. Mikey. I love American jiu-jitsu practitioners coming in and showing man, look, America's coming up. Different people are getting better. It's not just a Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing now. It's like a whole world jiu-jitsu. Yeah, it's not just for one country anymore. And Mikey's doing
jiu-jitsu
awesome.
now.
Just jiu-jitsu.
Just jiu-jitsu.
That's what I say. It's not Brazilian jiu-jitsu, what we're learning. I mean, there's that traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I feel like that's its own thing. But like at my gym, I teach grappling. I teach, we have jiu-jitsu and the gi and stuff, but it's evolved so much more, so many other skills and everything. Wrestling's more involved into it, and more judo and different things that it's just not your traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu anymore.
I agree. Yeah. I like it. We talked about that a lot on the show in the past where, there's that kind of, there was like a little of a divide, whether it's real or artificial or played up on social media, where people are like, no, I've never been to Brazil. None of my coaches are from Brazil.
Yeah, I was seeing,
I'm
something
doing
like
this more competition style. I don't like the label. I don't really care for the label. Again, we didn't call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. I said Jiu-Jitsu. It's Jiu-Jitsu. Even though I did my handle before I started thinking that way. So Uncle Milty, BJJ. I wish I could take out the B, but now I don't want to take it.
I think it's more, it's a lot of the things like have to do with like the rankings and, even there's so many gyms now that don't even have gi. It's just no gi. And that's cool too, man. I just tell people
they still promote like with the belt a lot.
They still promote
right?
with the belt. They'll give you the belt and everything, but
even 10th Planet, like
they give you the belt.
Just really good. They
still get a belt. Yeah, they still get a belt. Yeah. So it's but it's like, hey, it's not just this one way.
Yeah.
There's so many. I can do an arm bar a lot of different ways. There's not just one way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Uncommon Jen. What are on it from Instagram? What are the biggest challenges you face as a competitor, a business owner, and a coach? How do you balance the three? We kind of touched on that a little bit before, but how do you balance the three?
Man, I think just really getting to organize your time. I think in the beginning I felt so overwhelmed of like, oh man, I can't do this all. I want to fight, and what about the gym and this and that? And I'm still learning. All the time. Sometimes I see myself competing, and the gym is, it stays stable. Like it's not growing, but it's doing well. But when I'm like, oh my God, I have to take a step away from that, focus on the gym. I see the gym start to grow. So I definitely still am learning on how to balance everything, because I want time for my family. I want time to grow the gym. And I still want to compete in whatever it is. I just love that competition. So the number one thing I really feel is having a good support system. It helps me. My wife is there for me.
How old are your kids?
7 and 6.
Okay, so they're not old enough to help
not
out
yet. Not yet, but I try. Yeah. I'm like, hey, you're going to be my helper in the little kids class, Anthony.
Yeah.
Let them practice on him or something like that. But definitely having that support system. I have so much on my mind all the time, and if I don't write it down, it's gone. So my wife will have to constantly remind me. Yeah, I have to put it on the phone. I have to.
I have notes open for every
send myself text messages like so much, and just keeping organized. Organization has been key to growth. I feel like keeping organization and everything, like planning to a T. Like I'm gonna wake up at 7 a.m. I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to run. I'm gonna try to make this happen. Otherwise, you're gonna leave things out. You're gonna leave things out where it comes for your training. You're gonna leave things out when it comes in regards of your gym. You're gonna leave things out when it comes in regards of your kids. Saying, oh, we'll do this, and you don't get around to doing it.
Yeah,
got to plan it.
I use my calendar for that because my work day is planned out. So I do it with my personal life and things that I have to do away from my regular job for the podcast.
Right.
Let's say it's in my iPhone calendar, and if I tell my wife this all the time, especially when she says, hey, we're going to go here next week. You got to put it on my calendar.
Put it on the calendar.
Because when I see it there, it's just getting done during that time.
I share it now with my wife too. So I'm like, hey, you put it in there, boom, I see it.
But it's gonna, for me, it's going to happen. Maybe sometimes I can't do something and I go, okay, I got to move this to another day.
Right. But at least you know about it.
But it's there.
It's in your face.
I love to check it off or to delete it.
It's in your face.
Got it done. It's very fulfilling,
I need that in my face. Like, this is coming up. This is coming up. Don't miss it. And I still miss it.
When I used to just do it here, I'd be like, oh man, I forgot to do this.
You can't do it.
I forgot to do that.
As I got older, I'm like, man, I cannot rely on this memory. I get punched in the head too much for this.
Yeah, I feel it. All right, man. Look, let me do some of my housekeeping, and we're gonna just give some shout outs. Appreciate you for coming on again, man. I absolutely wanted to meet you face to face, and we got to do it again. Let me do some shout outs, and we're gonna wrap it up. So Patreon podcast patrons, okay? Carlson Gracie Winter Haven in Winter Haven, Florida. cgwinterhaven.com, at Carlson Gracie _Winterhaven on Instagram. Also want to shout out Carlson Gracie Broward County in North Lauderdale, down here in Florida. CarlsonGracieBrowardCounty.com and at Carlson Gracie Broward County. All right, those are our podcast patrons. These are people who donate a couple of bucks a month and give them a shout out right on our Patreon. John Way Martial Arts in Plantation, Florida. JohnWayMartialArts.com, at John Way Martial Arts. Then we also have our individual patrons: Robert Walker, Frank House, Wolsey Rivera, Boa Athletics. You can check them out at BOA_athletics on IG. Michael Pixley Jr., Jason Smiley, Britt Tavar over at Fightback, CJ Carroll, Mission 22, Chuck Reddoor, and Roberto Santiago down here in South Florida. We love you. We love you all. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit us on patreon.com/Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. Join and you're automatically entered to win up to $100 in Jiu-Jitsu swag every month. So we do actually, like those listeners that just asked questions, they'll be in August giveaway pool.
Oh, that's cool.
So all of our patrons, they're always in it. And then anybody that sends us questions on any show that month, put them in a hat, and then we'll pick one winner. Awesome. They'll get usually a gi from Flow and Roll, some Fightback CBD, a $100 gift card to our podcast store. So we do that.
I think about the ladies, man, and get a jiu-jitsu.
Really? Really? That is someone that knows nothing about jiu-jitsu.
No, not at all.
Not at all. We're going to have to cut that out. Let's pause so we can cut it. All right, at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies for all the ways to watch, listen, and support. You can donate to our scholarship program where we award one-year scholarships to veterans, first responders, and amazing kids. We've got two right now. We've got two kids. We need to raise a little bit more money to be able to do one for a veteran is going to be up next, all right? Check out the podcast store at jiujitsudummies.shop. You get 15% off with code JJD. We have ranked rash guards, tees, backpacks, coffee mugs, free shipping on orders over $50. I've got this new one. I don't have to worry about closing this out. Oh, you got that?
Yeah.
Choke Responsibly is back, right? And this one says, for the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast. I've actually got one for Bo.
Oh.
And Jim, I got one for large.
Large will work.
Medium?
Medium.
Okay. I only have a large. Just throw it in the dryer.
I'm sure.
Right
I'm trying to get bigger.
There you go.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
If it doesn't fit, give it to somebody that fits, and I'll get you another one.
For sure.
All right,
Thank you,
let
man.
me know.
Appreciate that.
All right. So yeah, that's new Choke Responsibly. It's actually Choke Responsibly was my brand, and was like our first official sponsor of the show.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of haven't been doing anything with it, so we threw another one out.
Nice.
So we just started to do more designs. We want to thank the We Defy Foundation for all their support and all they do for veterans in the jiu-jitsu community. For those of you who don't know, again, they provide therapeutic relief to disabled combat veterans through jiu-jitsu. Check them out at We Defy Foundation on Instagram. You can donate anytime at wedefyfoundation.org on the website, Facebook, or Instagram. You can donate anyway, on your favorite platform. Save the date. If you can be in Dallas, September 18th, they're doing their annual gala. We're going to be there. You can, if you're a business owner in or outside the jiu-jitsu community, reach out to them on their Instagram. You can put up a package or a prize for their silent auction, or you can donate directly and become a sponsor of the actual gala. We're doing a $1,000 gift card to the podcast store. So if you can donate, reach out. Once again, at Fightback CBD. Get 20% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com with code JJD. And again, check them out at FightbackCBD on Instagram. All right? We're good. Bo, you got anything? You're straight?
I don't know. I asked the doctor. I'm waiting.
Shut up. You can get me at Uncle Milty BJJ on IG.
At Fight Gym on IG.
And it's JIM, not
JIM. Or just follow my gym page at Alers Martial Arts.
Alers Martial Arts. There it is. All right, Jim. Again, thank you so much for doing this.
Man.
I appreciate it. It was great to meet you in person finally. Sure. Or again.
Again.
We had last time as a Zoom. Thank you very much.
Oh, for sure.
Take care, everybody. Us. This is when the music plays. Jim, it goes.